Hi, welcome to this video. It's for Leetcode 206 Reverse Linked List. This falls under the technique of in-place reversal of linked lists. This question in particular is to be considered an utility question that sometimes may be asked right at the very beginning of kind of like a coding challenge before you actually get to quote unquote a real question, or if you're still in college, this might be a question that they want you to kind of go more into detail. What you have to realize about this question is that mostly you need some temporary variables, first of all, which we use here, and basically that keeps track of what the next item is to the right if you had the original linked list. And the other thing to keep track of is that you want to have something that points to the previous, which is right there. And that's because when you're doing a comparison of a linked list with its neighbor, when you get all the way to the end, basically you'll be able to return previous because previous will be the new head. This might be a little bit abstract, so let's take a look at what we can do right here with an example and a walkthrough. Delete that. So the code is pretty simple, so we're going to put it on the side while we do our walkthrough. So here are our nodes, 1, 2, and 3, and the variables that you have to keep track of are here on the left. And so if you take a look at where you are when you start, okay? Here you go. When you start with this linked list, you want to realize that where you have previous, which is going to point to null, right? It's right here. And then you have to keep track of the current head, which is just the beginning of the linked list. So we do those things, and while number 1 is not null, we want to save temporarily what is next. So right here, we see that the temp next is 2. And so the next step that you want to do when you're doing this is basically have current point to the previous, right? So that will end up being like this. We'll draw a dotted line. Meanwhile, previous becomes current. So you see that previous was null. It's going to become current. It just means that the next step, 3 variables that you see up top, everything's going to shift to the right, okay, by 1. And then you move the current to the temporary next, which we saved right here, which is 2, right? So current becomes a temp next. It might seem a little confusing right now, but when you see step 2, you'll see that it kind of makes a little bit more sense. Show you step 2. So after what we had just done previously, you had that original head right here, and you had it pointing to the old previous, right? Which is null. Which means that you don't have any connection here, right, between previous and current. And that's normal. Actually, it looks like what you have up here, where there's a connection at the end of the linked list, but it has no connection to the beginning of it, or the old beginning of it. And we'll see how that works. So you're in the while loop right here, and temp is going to be set to the current next, which you see is 3. It's right here. And then the next line is current's next. It's going to be previous. Well, we see current is 2, right? Current is 2. and it's going to point, and its next is going to point to previous. So basically, you draw your dotted line. So at the next step, this arrow will exist, okay? And it'll get wiped out from here. And then you just move everything over. Move everything over by setting previous to current, which is this one, previous to current, and current to the temporary next. So the three variables you have up top, prev, cur, and next, everything shifts to the right by 1. So let's take a look at the next step. As you said before, we had severed this connection. And what is that? Kind of that beginning of the linked list is starting to kind of take hold. And you just have to fix the last bit. So again, we're inside our while loop, and we set the temp to the current next, right? Temporary next. Well, the current next, cur is right now at 3, so its next is null. So we see that value here. And then it's time to reverse. So point the current next to previous. So draw a dotted line. So the next step, this arrow will exist. And then we shift. Previous becomes current. So right here, 2 is going to point to the 3. And current is going to the temp next. Current is 3, temp next is null. So, and you'll see that current because it becomes null at the next run of the while loop. It'll exit it. Meanwhile, because everything's shifted to the right, you'll be able to return previous, and that'll be the end of the algorithm. So, once again, this is Leetcode 206, reverse linked list, and the technique is in-place reversal of a linked list. And actually what you're going to see is the next video is actually going to be slightly the same thing, because what you want to do in the next type of video is that you will get, instead of reversing the whole linked list, they might give you, let's say, 5 nodes, right? And they only want you to reverse part of it, for example, that. And so that's why this technique is for in-order reversal of a linked list. The first step is to know how to do it all the way through. The second is to know how to do for just a partition or a segment of it. All right. Thank you very much.